Yo, yo, yo! And welcome everybody to this week's edition of Owl Eyez on BASE DeFi. There has never been a better time to be building on BASE. I just got back from Basecamp. There was a lot of positivity, a lot of enthusiasm, and some big plans coming up for BASE. We're going to dive into those things with my co-host Crypto Noah. But guys, just as we are getting started, make sure you show some love for the show and smash that retweet button and let your friends and everybody know where the alpha is. So without any further ado, Crypto Noah, how are you today?
Damn, man, you was talking about all this base stuff, going to base camp. You a damn base junkie now, yeah?
Through and through, brother. Honestly, like being around so many top builders and the base team, hearing plans and hearing like the positivity, and then discussing collaborations, getting that in-person feedback, it was just honestly the best use of the time. I'm feeling energized. Jesse dropped some absolute bombs on like in the keynote speech on day one. He announced that there's going to be a new base Solana bridge, so you literally just enter DeFi pools like on base with your Solana and vice versa. So just making the entire trading experience frictionless. And I was like, yo, mega mind blown. Like, wow, that's going to bring so many extra users and so many degens from Solana. It's going to bring great exposure for them, great exposure for us, all interacting on the base app. I'm like, wow, there's never been a better time to be building on base. And then not 5 minutes later, he's like, oh yeah, by the way, we're exploring a network token. And there's like boom, boom, boom. Like what? Like they said never. They said it's impossible. Get that out of your head. This is a builder's chain. Don't be looking for a stimulus check. And he went into it because that was their stance for so long. And at the time, it was absolutely true. But now that there is this builder mentality, this ecosystem that's been built, brick by brick, and not by people coming in to farm an airdrop and then just leave the chain a husk of what it could be. There's a strong ecosystem and a strong community already who've dedicated the past 2 years to building on this chain. There's a real robust ecosystem. Now that they're starting to explore a network token, this is a great opportunity to reward people that have been building, supporting, who were doing it because they believed in the mission, not farming an airdrop. And then this is going to be a great creation of liquidity for people who maybe have been on the fence. And this is a great way to like bring new eyes, get people to come over to base, because that's always been one of the criticisms. If they really are going to create a completely decentralized economy, they need to have their own token, not completely paired with ETH. So a monumental move. They changed it on the base profile. It's just been a completely electrifying week at Basecamp, and then just for the future of base.
That's good stuff, man. I can tell you still drunk off that base Kool-Aid, man. That's good stuff. Well, yeah, man, I'm doing good. We gotta talk about the merch. So I got on my on-chain Renaissance shirt. This is from Story Protocol. Got this at ETH Denver. And today we're talking about, before I get into that, man, what you rocking today, man? I know you got some crazy merch on. What you rocking today, man?
Bro. Yeah, as you said, I'm still riding high from Basecamp. So I'm actually wearing the Basecamp merch. Let me stand up for this.
Let's see. So, that new logo on there. I see those
new logo. Got the base rocks.
Oh, that's fire, bro. That's fire, bro.
It says I went to Basecamp and it rocked.
Well, sick, man. So yeah, so today got some good stuff for y'all. We're gonna talk about the on-chain renaissance that's happening. Basejunkie is gonna cover some stuff that happened at Basecamp. We're gonna talk about what you can do to increase your chances of getting a base airdrop when and if they do release a token. We're gonna be talking about the concept of the DeFi Mullet. Right, some powerful integrations and what they could, the benefits they can have, and we're going to look at our pools from last week. We're going to try to run through the show quick because Basejunkie has to get off to get his parents from the airport. So let's get into it, man. What do you want to start off with? The DeFi Mullet, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, honestly, like I have some more questions for you, but like I know you've prepped something for the DeFi mullet, so please.
We'll run through it here pretty quick. So guys, the DeFi mullet is basically I forget which one's the front and which one's the back. You have to correct me if I'm wrong, but you got CeFi in the front, DeFi in the back, right?
That would make sense because it's so business in the front, party in the back, and DeFi is a party.
Yeah. So I always like to say, guys, you can build, and I think Vitalik said this as well. You can build centralized products on decentralized infrastructure, but you can't build decentralized products on centralized infrastructure. So the DeFi mullet is basically centralized products being built on decentralized infrastructure, right? Base, more of a centralized product right now, and and that's okay. Centralization has its benefits, but they're built on Ethereum, which you could argue is actually more centralized with the move to proof of stake, but not quite. Okay, so basically, I want to talk about two powerful integrations that Base has done and why I believe they did it. I got something in my hair. So we're going to talk about the integration with Morpho, and we're going to talk about the integration with Aero and why it's so huge. Okay, so guys, there's a section in crypto called private credit. Okay, and DeFi is basically like, if you look at traditional finance, you need certain products in place in order for a financial system to function correctly. You need borrowing and lending, you need insurance, you need derivatives so institutions and people can hedge risk in their portfolio, you need payment rails, you need a currency, you need bonds, like you need certain things in place, right? And if you look at any third world country, it's a third world country because they don't have these things. And the main thing that you need is an integrated property system so people can say who owns what when. There's a really good book called The Mystery of Capital that I recommend everyone read. If you can't prove that you own something, you can't get access to credit. America and any major country was built on credit. If you can't prove you own something, you can't borrow money. If you can't borrow money, you don't have anything. And the reason why is because banks aren't going to go anywhere and loan you money if you don't have any collateral, so that if you don't pay back your loan, they can pull something and be able to, get their money back and some fees. So right now in crypto, we have over collateralized loans. You have projects like maplefinance, and they're doing the DeFi mullet concept. They're issuing the loans on chain, but they're verifying you off chain. And I've done a deep dive on maplefinance on the Node House YouTube channel. Definitely go subscribe there. But we're talking about Base today. So right now in crypto, the main way to lend is over collateralized loans, right? You have to have collateral, call it Bitcoin, if you want to borrow stable coins, or if you want to use collateral as USDC to borrow Bitcoin. This is kind of like the pawn shop model, right? In that you have to essentially give them something to get something, but that's not how people borrow money in the real world, right? It's definitely not how institutions borrow money, right? You want to get access to borrow funds that you don't have, not something that you have already. So this integration with Morpho is really, really huge because it's like a building block to that next step of eventually being able to do under collateralized loans. But you have a lot of people who don't like to do DeFi stuff because they don't trust it, right? So people who get over collateralized loans are mainly DeFi folks, right? Using Aave, Compound, or whatever. But Coinbase integrated with Morpho. Okay, and I just want to talk about this real quick. This was January 2025. They announced their partnership with Morpho, and Morpho is just like Aave. They're a DeFi lending or money market protocol, and they can do like Bitcoin-backed loans. So you can borrow USDC using your Bitcoin on collateral, and they are built on Base, right? So how it works is that you hold your Bitcoin on Coinbase, and then that Bitcoin is automatically converted into CBTC, which is Coinbase wrapped Bitcoin at a 1-to-1 ratio. Then you have the CBTC is transferred to the Morpho smart contracts, and Morpho then uses it to collateralize the loan in USDC, which gets dispersed into the user's Coinbase account, hence Coinbase account, not MetaMask account, right? So the borrowing limit is up to $100,000 in USDC for eligible users, and this excludes some US states, including New York. And you have to maintain a minimum collateral ratio of 133%, and then there's a liquidation threshold if it loses value. Now, why does this matter? Like, why should you even care? Well, like I said, this lets Coinbase users access liquidity without having to sell their Bitcoin, guys. This is what the institutions do. You don't pay tax. Well, Basejunkie don't worry about it because he's in Portugal. But here in America, you know, our taxes are different. But when you borrow money, and I'm not sure how it is in Portugal, when you borrow money, you don't pay taxes on borrowed funds, right? So instead of having to sell your Bitcoin, incur a taxable event, and then go to buy something, and then let's say the price goes up, you're going to be like, oh man, I should have held my Bitcoin. This way, you can use your Bitcoin as collateral. You can borrow money to, let's say you want to buy a property. If the price of Bitcoin goes up, which we know long-term it is, well, hey, guess what? Your collateral increases in value, and now you could end up getting that house for free, right? So this is the DeFi Mullet. Like I said, it leverages Morpho's existing DeFi infrastructure to reduce friction while still keeping things on chain so you can monitor everything that's happened. And it helps Coinbase expand its DeFi offerings to compete with other platforms offering crypto-backed loans. Basejunkie, do you want to say anything on that before I moved on to the Aerodrome integration?
I mean, it's the future. It's the future of realizing gains in crypto. When Coinbase is on a mission to like bring everything on chain, they want to collateralize everything. You know, this really is like the revolution that we didn't necessarily know we wanted, but when you look a bit deeper, and exactly as Noah's saying, that you can actually release liquidity and never sell your Bitcoin. You'd hold your Bitcoin forever and just, you know, borrow against it, and then like use those borrowed funds for purchases, and then because it's a loan, yes, you pay an interest rate on that. But if the interest rate you're paying is 5% and Bitcoin's appreciating at 30%, then you're at a net positive. So you have your Bitcoin's worth more, and you've been able to release some of the liquidity by just borrowing against it. So yeah, I think this really is the future for realizing gains.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. So now I want to talk about the Aerodrome integration, which I'm actually a little bit more excited about. So before I talk about it, we have what passed here in America called the Clarity Act, or hasn't passed yet. I think it's waiting on the signature from the president and the Senate. But it basically draws a line in the sand on what makes a token a security and what makes a token a commodity, right? So once all this stuff is like drawn in the sand and, you know, everything's clean and clear, certain tokens are going to be traded on centralized exchanges, and certain tokens are going to have to stay on decentralized exchanges. Okay, so I think Coinbase was thinking ahead, and you know, Coinbase is always you know, in talks with the regulator, and they do the best that they can to be compliant. You know, they call them the white knight of crypto for a reason. So Aerodrome is a decentralized exchange. We actually got into some pools on Aerodrome on the past couple episodes where we've had our Zora pools at Aerodrome and Uniswap. So Coinbase recently integrated with Aerodrome's base pools into their app, right? DeFi Mullet again. So this means users can see trading and liquidity from Aerodrome inside of Coinbase's interface. So let's talk about how this works. So when a token is listed or has a liquidity pool on Aerodrome on Base, Coinbase pulls that liquidity or trade pair into its app for users. So it's basically, if something's traded on Aerodrome, it looks like it's trading on Coinbase, but you're still able to tell the difference. So this means quicker discovery, more trading options for Base native tokens, and less frictions. So users don't need to leave Coinbase or manually connect to Aerodrome. They do it straight from the app. It's more secure, right? Coinbase is taking on that risk, and Coinbase also has an insurance policy, so it's safer. And the integration also helps newly launched Base tokens get exposure via Coinbase's large user base immediately when the pools are live. So I feel like this is going to make it easier for altcoins to pump as well. Some people just buy assets just because they're on Coinbase, right? And I know a lot of people, I'll be like, oh man, did you buy this token? And they're like, no. I'm like, you should. NFA, this is just an example, guys. Basejunkie told me about a token and he put NFA in there. I'm like, man, you gotta love crypto. Anyway, is people, I'll be like, oh man, you should like look into this token. And they're like, can I get it on Coinbase? And I'm like, no. And they won't even buy it, right? The confused mind says no. So it's like, this matters because it bridges the gap between the centralized exchange UX and the DeFi liquidity. Like it's pulling it together. So users get DeFi depth without needing a separate wallet or DEX interface, more volume on Aerodrome, more liquidity and token listing visibility. And it's mutually reinforcing. So DeFi projects get exposure. Coinbase, they get to basically expand their moat. And now for you and I, Basejunkie, and liquidity providers watching this channel, this is good for us because it's just like some of the pools that I'm in, most of which are on Base, only people in DeFi are going to be trading it. But now that people can see that pool on Coinbase, they're trading in the liquidity pool where I'm providing liquidity. So that means I'm able to make fees, not off of just people who are in DeFi, but from people who are buying at Coinbase. That's pretty huge.
Absolutely. I think, to be honest, that whole market, the 120 million Coinbase users, that was one of the early things that made me really like bullish to build on Base, because I'm like, okay, well, look, they're building Base, they're building a chain. Eventually, there's going to be this crossover from the CeFi DEX users, and then all this depth of builder ethos, like startups building real utility projects, and the ones that scale. Once they build that bridge from CeFi to DeFi and allow the Coinbase users to actually directly buy these projects, I mean, what an influx of liquidity there is.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's change gears here because I know we're kind of rushed on this one. Let's talk about this Base airdrop. Now, you correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if they told you like what you have to do to qualify for. Okay, so yeah. So guys, this is how you have to think about it. I called out the Arbitrum airdrop. I think MetaMask is going to do an airdrop. So it's just like Coinbase is a venture-backed company, right? And when you raise money via venture capital, they have to have an exit strategy so they can make their money back, right? And in traditional finance, that's either getting acquired or IPO, like launching a stock. In crypto, it's either get acquired or launch a token so that they can sell those tokens and make their money. They have a fiduciary responsibility to generate returns to the limited partners. So if a company is venture backed, you can believe that they're probably going to launch a token. And even going way back, like when Base first launched, and I was reading some of their docs, they always said that they were aiming to be a DAO. And you can be a DAO without a token, but it's a lot harder. So I kind of always had in the back of my mind that they were going to launch a token. I used to think in my mind, well, they're already a public company and they have like their common stock. But Base is a separate entity from Coinbase. I'm sure they have it set up like Google and Alphabet to where it's a different business, right? So just because you own Coinbase, like Coinbase may own Base, but Base is still its own entity. Now, they said they're going to launch a token. Typically, guys, when they do launch a token, I feel like I'm going to get a fat airdrop because I've been providing liquidity and borrowing and lending and doing kind of all kinds of activity on Base for years. So in order to increase your chances, you want to do whatever activity that you can on Base. A few things chains look at once they're doing their airdrop. Each one has their own criteria, but they typically look at how much you bridged over, how much you interacted with smart contracts, the amount of money that you're playing with, how long you're over there. These are some of the basic things. So the Zora ETH pool that we're going to look at, I feel like that's probably going to increase our chances of getting an airdrop. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and I'm just going to show what it's been paying out because it's been kind of good. And I want to kind of revisit something we talked about last week. So remember last week you were like, man, should I get out of my Zora USD or my Zora ETH? And I told you like probably Zora ETH. It's going to pay more and it's going to be easier to stay in range. So if I go ahead and pull up my pools here, the green is like my average buy-in price for Zora. So I'm like break even on buy-in, right? So had I just been holding Zora, I'd be break even. But since I'm providing liquidity, I'm actually in profit because the yields have been pretty great, as you guys will see. So this is my Zora USDC range. This is my Zora ETH range, right? Still in range. If I go over to Revert Finance, my Zora USDC is now paying 177. My Zora ETH is paying 515% APR. Guys, that's almost 2% per day passively. And let me actually refresh this. Right now I have 289 bucks in there. Let's refresh it because it changes every time you refresh because volumes change all the time. So right now it's paying 410 instead of 289. I got 317 bucks. And I just refreshed this like a few hours ago. So it's like I was telling you last week, it's just like you never know when the best days are going to come. Last week when we were on this show, what was it paying? Like 100 and something percent APR?
I mean, literally, like, I think one of the pools was paying like 90%. Like for myself, I'm doing this $1,000 challenge. I see like in a week, I think one of the 'cause I had it spread over 3 pools. One was like 300, one was like 200, one was like 100 and a bit. And seeing 90% on a $200 position size, across the whole week is like $4. It's like, well, it's more than the bank, obviously, but it's just it was a bit lackluster last week. So I mean, definitely exciting to see that the volume is picked up.
Yeah, and guys, you gotta keep in mind, we just got a rate cut. Federal Reserve finally cut rates. All the central banks have been cutting rates for a while, and now the United States has followed suit. And typically, when they cut rates, it's a trend. They'll keep cutting rates. They may pause and cut, but they don't go cut, raise, cut, raise. That's just not how they do it. Jerome Powell did announce that they want to cut rates another 2 times this year, 1 time next year, and 1 time the following year. So that's going to unlock a lot of liquidity. You just had Basecamp. They're talking about launching their own token. So you're going to have people interacting with Base smart contracts to increase their chances of getting an airdrop. So I think people are definitely going to be trading Zora. So that makes sense as to why we have a 3x in APR. But and guys, I've been in this position for not even a week, 6.8 days. I hopped in with like a little less than 4K. All right, I'm up a little bit on principal, and I've made $317 in just less than a week from not doing absolutely anything. I haven't had to touch this thing. And if I look at my Zora USDC pool, I've been in this one for 16 days, and I've made $322. This one's paying a little bit less because ETH is like the DeFi dollar in a way. ETH is like almost like USDC. In DeFi, people use ETH for everything. It has the most liquidity. It's the gas token, etc. So yeah, man, that is that. Did you want to let's look at your golden pool, man?
Yeah, so I'll show
or anything.
So I'll show my Zora because I started with $1,000, and then the price of Zora was going down, and then it's as you can see, it's come up a bit. It's charts be charting, but let's let me share my screen. So over here, I'm using Aperture. For some reason, Revert isn't opening up on my laptop. I don't know. Maybe I need an upgrade. But this is from last week. So actually a lot better than the previous week. So $370 in this pool. 8 days? Got $32 in unclaimed fees.
Not bad, bro.
Dude, that's amazing. Actually,
good.
Like, would it say here like how like the percentage, the APR on this?
It doesn't tell you the APR on Aperture, but go to Aerodrome, and then you want to hit dash. Yeah, hit find the pool.
Yep, got it here. But also, I mean, not to jump the gun. So is this it? I'm out of range of this one.
You got out of that one. Remember, that was the USDC one you got out of. Yeah.
This one, yeah. So the range was 142 to 239.
So that APR is actually not correct. It's definitely more than 10%. That's why I never go on Aerodrome to look at the actual yield. 10%, you have pennies.
Can you remind me? So on Aerodrome, does it ever auto compound, or I need to claim it and then stake it?
It never auto compounds. You can use like an auto compounder like Beefy Finance. Maybe we'll talk about that next week. That'll be something we talk about next week, auto compounders. And they basically charge you a fee, and they'll take your rewards and compound them in every time. But I don't use auto compounders because one, I like to take my rewards and like use them to buy some and compound the rest back in. So I don't think there's a way. They don't have it to where you can like only compound a certain amount. And also the fee that they charge, just like that stuff adds up a little bit. Like if I get charged $100 in fees and I'm thinking something's gonna 10x, I actually got charged $1,000 in fees. And that's a daisy chain, because what am I going to do with that $1,000 to make more? So auto compounders is good for some people, depending on your strategy. But I like going in there and harvesting the old crops. It's like a farm. Like go out there.
It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it is fun. So
okay, so I'm just gonna stop sharing screen while I connect to my wallet again. So the golden pool, I think that was a V4 pool, and for some reason I can't seem to find it. I saw it on my Coinbase wallet, and it showed some returns, which I can't believe. But
so you got on Uniswap, yeah?
Was it not Aerodrome? Was it Uniswap? Is that where we did it?
That's why you can't find it.
Oh man, am I being?
Remember when we got off? When I got off, I walked you through it because you hadn't done the Uniswap one.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
and
actually.
Like they said in Friday After Next.
Let me get ready to go to work. Because I'm a player, nigga. I'm a pimp, and I don't have to deal with. You got your shirt on backwards, player. Play as fuck up.
Snatch the shit off your head, man.
Man, don't worry about what I'm doing. Why ain't y'all do nothing when the fat bitch jumped on me? Y'all trap.
Hey, even players fuck up, bro. It's all good.
Yeah, I mean, for real, I was like, oh man, has Aerodrome rugged me? Like, where's my pool? It's on Uniswap. All right, so
If you ever curious, just go to Dex Screener and type in the pair, and it'll show you what liquidity is, and it'll show you what Dex is on.
So I saw on my Coinbase wallet, I saw it come up there. All right, so here we are. So we're in range, but check this out,
Dude.
How can that be?
It must have had an insane volume spike. Go ahead and click it, dude. You got 200. Dude, good shit. You hopped in there with $200.
No, so my position was at what 370. So I cashed out. There's two other pools. There's two other Azora pools that were both out of range. Both of them were down. But then I got into this because, dude, like in terms of like chart speed charting. So this is obviously not financial advice, but Golden, I had some really strong things about the team and from reliable sources, and I could see like there's I don't see it on the timeline. And I was like, well, they're clearly using a market maker. They have a lot of funds behind them. They're very consistently around like 19 to 20, maybe top of the 18 mark. But look, this is like, well, that's the 1 hour. But like, even if you're zooming out to 4 hour,
you called
like,
it out. It's been validating.
That's as flat. That's as flat as a chart as you're going to see. And like volume.
Hit ETH. Remember, hit ETH up there. Yeah,
dude. Like, so there's been what 8 days. So like since here, just ever so slightly coming out, but for the most part, like this wasn't a very widespread at all.
Really good volume to TVL ratio. Liquidity is very low, but the trading volume was high. Dude, you almost made, so you were making thousands of percentages of APR at certain points, bro. Is what happened there. You almost made 100% APR because the prices pretty much dropped, actually. And ETH, let me look at ETH. What's ETH trading at right now? ETH hasn't even pumped. ETH is pretty much still at the same price as it was last week. ETH is up a little bit, but nothing crazy. So yeah, man, you were printing money there for a while, bro. You almost made 100% APR in a week.
So these fees, I need to collect them and then redeploy them. If that's what I want to do.
You can do whatever you want. I always recommend, so you can grow your portfolio long term and short term. Take half, use it to buy, some Zora or some of the stuff that you told me about in chat. Keep building that bag, and then use the other half to compound so you can keep growing it. Because what you don't want to happen is Golden does a huge drop, and now your principal is at like, let's say 280, and the fees earned drops down to like 150 or something. Because then it's like, you still will be in profit a little bit, but it's good to lock them in and like put yourself in a position to where you can buy something that more for sure it's going to go up. And you can even use it to use some of it to hodl some Golden. Keep some in Golden just in case it pumps because you think it's going to pump. So you done well for yourself. You found a good pool, man. That's good.
Oh man, I'm actually really stoked about that because, like I was saying, this doesn't look like a pump and dumpy chart. This is like okay. Look, we want to keep the volume up. We want to keep,
Bro, in the last 24 hours, you see how you have the 24-hour button check. In the last 24 hours, it was 351K in volume.
Yeah.
Bro.
Well, dude, it's like this every day. Is there a way to see like how much volume?
Yeah. Go to Uniswap. Hit Golden.
Man, I can't believe like from a $370 position, like last week on Zora, I got maybe for that principal, what was it, like $16?
It was a good call you made, buddy.
Thanks, bro.
Okay. Yeah. And then, so hit pools down. Go down there and hit pools. Okay. And then you want to hit the one that you're in, which is the top one. And then, you got it on volume. So now you can look at so look at the weekly. Hit weekly. 140K. It's been doing around like 90K on average in volume. And the TVL.
Well, dude, look at this. That's not even, that's like the 17th. That's the 18th. Like multiple of these bars
are the same day.
Of the same day. So this is daily. So yeah, that's like 15th, 16th, 17th. But like what is that? Like that's a 400K.
And here's another thing you have to consider or be aware of. There is a 1.1 million in TVL, and like the average volumes look like it's been 300K. So you're like, okay, well, I mean, volume is actually it's not a crazy volume to TVL ratio. So when that happens, it's a lot of liquidity that's being provided that's either Uniswap V2 style to where it's not being used sometimes. So the stuff that's in a range is making more, or you have some people who are just out of range and the people who are in range are making more. So it's a lot of either unintelligent liquidity providers providing liquidity, or most of the team's liquidity is inside of here Uniswap V2 style to where it's not all being used, but it's safer so that if there are huge price swings, you still have some liquidity to fill orders. So it's pretty good, man.
Okay, question here. So if I want to put all the golden in, why does it only pair it with $20? Is that where my position is?
Yeah, so go back to your deck screen and I can show you. So this is golden ETH. It's at the bottom of the range. So you're gonna, if it goes out of range to the top, you're gonna be in all ETH. If it goes out of range to the bottom, you're gonna be in all golden, because golden is underperforming against ETH. So if you get in, if you're compounding or entering into a new pool at that range and it's at the bottom, you're gonna have to go heavier on golden because it's at the bottom. If it was 50-50, like if the price was in the middle of your range, you'd be able to go in around 50-50. So that's why. Okay,
well, I'm gonna put in all the golden, and then this $20 of ETH, and then I guess I'll just have a little bit of extra ETH.
Guys, this $1,000 challenge just got real interesting now, yeah?
All right, so this position is up to $510.
It's good stuff, man.
So yeah, well, dude, I honestly, like, I wouldn't have been able to get into this position like if you didn't walk me through it. So even though I have the alpha, or somebody tells me like, hey, you should look into this, I'm like, okay, I need to research how. Like last week, to the viewers, last week, Crypto Noah, after the show, he walked me through it, getting it into a Uniswap pool for the first time, a V4 pool. I mean, we can talk about V4 next week. Actually, I do need to jump, otherwise my parents will be waiting at the airport. But guys, we are doing this $1,000 challenge, and as things are starting to heat up in base, we're going to see principal go up, and then as long as we stay in range, let's see if we can have another tasty week earning some fees.
Yeah, man, you're gonna have to. I don't know if you can rapid fire off some cool things that you didn't mention from Basecamp. Did you say anything else, or do you want to save that for next week? Anything crazy that you can say real quick?
Well, Aero, they just released their launch pad, and the first token to be launched on that went live 18 hours ago. Syndicate is the first token launched by Aero. My feeling, this isn't alpha, but this is my feeling, is like that's probably going to, like, it need to do well. The Aero team need it to do well. So I think that's going to, I mean, it's on like a real consolidation at this point. So I actually bought into some of that today. There were some other tokens that were interesting looking. Going to do some more research and into those in the coming weeks. But yeah, I mean, honestly, Basecamp, great experience, great to meet the builders. Right now, we're not seeing much interest. It was actually one thing that was interesting was that there were only 2 meme-coin projects that were there out of the 500 invited guests. I mean, take that as you will, but the way I interpreted it was that there is a real focus on utility. Everybody was building mini apps, building utility plays, building platforms, or just adding value in their own way. Meme coins kind of aren't the focus right now.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think there will be another meme coin run. I think there will be another NFT run. But just observing that information, it feels like that's where the mindset is right now. And then yeah, so I mean, in terms of doing things for the base token, Jesse also mentioned that they are getting all their information through Talent Protocol. Talent Protocol, they have weekly distributions to builders who are registered on Talent Protocol. They register their DevRel and GitHub. So if you are a builder, get registered there. They've also recently launched a creator score that all factors into your on-chain footprint for how active you are on-chain. I actually spoke with the guys about getting Fireside listed as a metric to measure your creator score, because at the moment, if you're a creator, they're looking at how much activity you're having on Firecaster, how much you're transacting over there, the social app, or how much you're involved with Zora. how much you're buying there, how active you are there, because that's another on-chain footprint for creators. Well, Fireside is going to be the spaces for the base app and Firecaster, and that's where you can have your digital footprint. So that's actually real alpha. So get involved. Make sure that you are taking these on-chain steps, whether you're a creator or a builder. Get registered at Talent Protocol. You go GitHub, and if you're a creator, use Zora, use Fireside, use Firecaster, and then also, as you mentioned before, Aerodrome, another massive partner, provide liquidity. So I think those are the simple steps that I'm going to be following to try and make sure that my efforts and times are acknowledged when the base token eventually launches. And then the last thing was Jesse said in no uncertain terms that the token will not be launched this year. So we have time.
Q1 market blow off top. And hey, that's really, and I'll wrap it up with this. That's really good that they're not going to launch it immediately, because the longer that they hold off, the more it allows like Base to attract sticky liquidity, allows people to get hooked. People come on there and start providing liquidity. Like, honestly, I would be providing liquidity on Base whether if I thought it was an airdrop or not, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it's just like the more time and runway that they give, the more time they give people to get hooked and more people to share about it, like how we're doing here. And then when they eventually do launch the token, then yeah, it's gonna be good. Embryo, Dolphin, Base.eth. We appreciate you.
We do this for you. All right, I really need to bounce. So Noah, thank you so much for the insights. I look forward to next week's show. I'm very much looking forward to seeing if golden stays in this range, but this past week has been golden. So
hey, even if you don't, you took some profits, man. So hey,
that's it. That's what it's all about. All right, guys. So I want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in today. Thank you to anybody who retweeted the room. We will do this every week, and we'll keep you up to date on this $1,000 challenge. If you have any questions, make sure you put them in the comments, and we can get to them. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, but most importantly, stay based. Peace out, everyone.